Cowabunga, dudes! Check out this radical episode of the Retro Rewind podcast.
Help me!
Hang on, April.
Thunder Road 3 now online. How can I help you travel through movie space-time today? Course entered. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Arcade game. 1989. Is this correct? Course set. Rewinding in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome, Rewinders and new listeners, to the Retro Rewind podcast, where we take a fresh look at movies and games from 15 or more years ago. I'm your captain of the former pod, Francisco Ruiz, and I'm joined by your XO and mine, Paul, the PaulJPowers.com master interrupter, master soundboarder, Powers.
Cowabunga!
I got my quarter in and ready to go.
Nice. Also, for this discussion of the video game Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the arcade game, we welcome back aboard Tactics Officer and Games Correspondent, Quitos Ruiz. Hey, Quitos.
Cowabunga!
Hey, guys, I'm back. I'm back for a game.
You're back. We found you. For some reason, you were in the commissary / galley of the pod, and we're in the escape pod. Maybe we'll unpack that later in another ship's log.
Time.
But glad you're here, Quitos. And now that you have a quick flyby of who we all are, Paul, can you give us a quick overview of the production specs for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game?
Sure. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was released May 12th, 1989 in Japan for the Famicom.
I knew you were going to do this.
What?
Paul, this is for the actual arcade. The arcade.
I thought you said the first.
Not the NES, not
the first
Famicom.
Ninja Turtle game.
No, the arcade game that came out in 1989.
Oh, man.
That could have been brought to my attention yesterday.
All right. I got to go back and play some more turtle games.
Okay, do that.
All right. Where were we? Ah, yes. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was released in Japan as TMNT Super Kame Ninja and in Europe as Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles. It was released on October 11th, 1989. Takes about 1.5 hours to beat and a whole lot of quarters. Not good.
Yeah, that's for sure.
It's rated E10. It was directed by Hideki Omaya.
Buckle up, people. I got a lot of Japanese names coming.
And Kei Takabayashi. Yeah, programmed by Gen Suzuki, Sadaki Matsumoto, with artists being Moriyama, Kei Hattori, Yuji Asano, Kuki Yamashita, and the music was composed by Matsuhiko Izumi and Miki Higashino. Do you enjoy this? Giving this to me?
Maybe a little.
Okay. All right. Are you ready for the box office trivia?
I am ready. Quitos, are you ready?
I am so ready.
All right.
Okay.
Go ahead, Paul.
Unfortunately, the budget for this game was unknown. So.
What? Okay.
But I do have the trivia question, or not the trivia, the question for you.
Ooh, okay.
All right. How high in the list of best-selling arcade games do you think it ranks among the arcade cabinets sold in the USA in 1990? It made the top 10.
Ooh, okay. Quitos.
This is the full year because it came out at the end of 89.
Oh.
So at the end of 90, it was in the top
Gotcha.
What rank was
10.
it?
Yeah. So we're in the top 10.
I'd say rank. I'm going to say rank 3.
3.
I'll go with a solid 3.
All right. Anyone in chat, you're welcome to join as well. Bobo
says 4.2.
Instead of 42. Yeah, I got it. Oh my goodness. I mean, the little I was reading while I was looking for trivia, it seemed like it was number 1. So I'll say number 1, but if I get it, I don't think that's fair, and I'll default to Quitos. But Paul, where did it actually end up?
It was number one.
It was number one. So
Yes.
Oh, wow.
It won a Diamond Award from the American Amusement Machine Association, AAMA,
Mhm.
for its sales achievement in 1990.
Oh wow, very cool. So I guess
So Bobo wins with 4.2. No.
wow. Ketos wins with 3. Thank
Sorry.
you for those factoids, Paul. And let's see if any of them factor into our memory mind melds or subsequent roundtable discussion, which we will get into once Alice has located our target game.
Alert. Alert. Target located. Spoilers incoming. Establishing analysis vector.
Oh yeah, it's a buzz every time time zone. It's a buzz every time zone. It's a buzz time zone every time.
Hey, pal, play the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles video game, A Time Zone, now.
It's a buzz.
That commercial really doesn't bring back any memories of this game to me because I never went to a time zone in Australia. But maybe they brought back some memories for you. And in fact, playing this game or thinking about playing it probably brought back some memories for us. So let's go to our memory mind meld synopsis of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the arcade game. For the story, Shredder has kidnapped April, so Splinter sends the heroes in the half shell to rescue her from Krang's minions and finally defeat Shredder in the Technodrome. What we remember about gameplay is it's a side-scroller beat-em-up that allows for up, down, and diagonal movement with 2 buttons that allow for jump and attack, with each turtle having their own unique abilities. Based on those memories, as flawed as they were, though, yeah, I mean, they weren't really flawed. They were kind of flawed.
Well, each one didn't have a unique ability. Well, they had their own, like, weapon, I guess.
Yeah, but they didn't have a unique ability. And we'll even talk about that more later. So for this, we might as well be decepted. But it'll be interesting to see if those memories, as flawed as they were, what Rainley led us to predict for this game before we ended up playing it. And let's find out what those were. So if there's nostalgic, tragic, or classic. Apparently I was going all over the board there, not in the normal order. Paul, I'm going to start with you this time. What was your prediction for a TMNT arcade game?
Well, I remember playing this arcade in the arcade, if that makes sense.
Yes.
This is, if I didn't spend the most money out of all the arcades on this game, it was in the top 3.
Oh,
so
wow.
I played it a lot, but never beat it, but I enjoyed it. So
Okay.
I went for classic.
Classic. How about for you, Ketos? I know you didn't play this growing up at all because you were like 0, but what was your...
Yeah, I wasn't even alive when this game came out, so...
But did you have a prediction for it?
Yeah, I predicted that it would be classic, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, so...
Good call.
What? Just because you like Ninja Turtles, or what sort of led you to that?
Because I still have like really good memories of the old Game Boy game that I played
Oh, okay.
of the Ninja Turtles.
Yeah,
so
Fall
I
of
was
the
like
Foot or Foot Clan something.
something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember the name. Yeah,
For
I just
me,
have fond memories of that one.
Fun memories, nice. For me, I predicted nostalgic. I certainly have good memories of it, but I feel like, especially compared to games of today, like Shredder's Revenge, I don't think it would hold up very well. So predicted nostalgic. But it'll be interesting to see if those predictions pan out. But first, let's get into the things we liked most about TMNT Arcade. Let's get to our
Best bits.
You
And
gotta stay Splinter.
yes, and let's start with Ketos. Were the sound effects in this game one of the things you liked, or was there something else?
Yeah, actually, for this game, it was actually the ability to play with friends is probably
Yes.
Yeah.
one of my likes for it. 'Cause,
Absolutely.
I mean, there were a lot of games at the time, especially like Game Boy, which is what I played, right?
Mhm.
Where it's not like you could really play with anyone.
Yeah, it
You're
was
just
pretty
always
much
playing solo.
solo
so.
experiences. Yeah.
But
Very cool.
that is also my first like is
Oh, really?
I wrote
Okay.
down co-op. And
Oh, nice.
I know in the arcade games, it wasn't hard to find co-op games, but there were games that were not co-op where you had to take turns.
Yeah.
But it's really fun that this opened up the normal 2-player to up to 4.
Yeah.
And there were only a few that had that. So it's just a good team camaraderie, the way that you're able to play along with your friends.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I like that makes that playing along with your friends is even more compelling is I thought the pixel art work for the turtles and a lot of the bad guys actually was really well done. I think the turtles, Roxanne Bebop, most of the Foot Clan, most of the Foot Soldiers that you're finding throughout most of the game, all those I think work really well and have really good animations and really good overall pixel art to them.
That was also my second the graphics because it looked just like the cartoon characters that it was based on that came out a couple years before this. So basically, I know that Konami got the rights and started developing this right around the same time that the cartoon came out. So, I mean, it's unfortunate they couldn't use the same voices of the cartoons, but the graphics really hold up. So they really resemble the cartoon.
I'm curious, Paul. So we had sort of been talking a little bit offline. Is that one of the reasons you dislike the NES version so much? Is because the graphics are so diminished?
100% It's just because like I said, I had played this in the arcade, and then afterwards they poured it to the NES, and I'm like, oh, cool. But the graphics are 8-bit compared to the arcade, which is at least 16,
at least
16.
16, yeah, exactly, if not 32 or 24,
somewhere in that. And so it just does not compare, and the sound port isn't good. And so, I mean, they added more stuff in the NES port to it to make it more playable. Yeah. But when you compare the graphics and the sound, it is what we once would call second class.
Indeed. That's funny. All right.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting what you're saying about it, because I think I don't have that much experience with too many arcade games from this time period, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think back to the games I played on like Nintendo, and Super Nintendo, compared to this, and the graphics of this are way better.
Yeah,
they're
absolutely.
way better than those. Yeah, so
we do
it's
have
really interesting.
We do have a detractor in chat, though, to your guys' opinion. Book of Gaming says the NES port is amazing. The fact that it happened is a miracle. And I will say, being able to play a Turtles, an arcade-like game on the NES, is fantastic. But it's like really if you're so used to playing this, it's like going from 4K to SD. It's like really hard and jarring to make that transition. You could do it, but it's like, if you have the option.
Or it could be like Book of Gaming and just be grateful that you have anything.
That's a good point. Yes, that's a good point. And gratitude is a good thing. And something I'm grateful of about this game is that I thought there was a really good amount of variation in the levels, especially I never felt bored playing through this. There's always either you're moving from the sort of top to bottom in the street level, or you're trying to dodge obstacles or traps on one sort of on the higher section of the screen and not the lower section, or we're doing skateboards, I just think there's a lot of variability that made things, because your attacks are very samey. It's just like button mash the attack button and jump sometimes. Yeah. Very much the same.
Jump kick.
Nothing really interesting about that. So having such variation in the level, I thought was really, really engaging and helped keep the game from getting boring.
Yeah. And I like that they used the I was about to say the design feels like it's the backgrounds are from the cartoon as well.
Yes,
and it feels
absolutely.
like it's all in the same world, and it feels very cartoony, and it flows very well. Yeah.
All right. Kitos, what else flowed well for you about this game before we get to our classic makers?
Definitely the controls, actually. They're really simple. So, I mean, it's very easy to pick up. Like,
yes, that's true.
You don't have to know much. Yeah.
If you've never played before, you don't need a tutorial to figure it out. It's pretty simple.
Exactly.
Easy to learn, takes even less time to master. But awesome. Very cool. Well, then let's get to our class makers, guys. And you guys have been not railroading, just like stealing all the thunder from mine this whole time. And
Pizza time.
Yeah, all the pizza time. And that's really just that how much this game felt like I was playing through an episode or a series of episodes of the cartoon. It was
cool.
just so nice. Except for, like you said, the voice acting, Paul, which wasn't really at all on point with the voice acting in the cartoon
It wasn't like that off.
No,
but it was.
But it was. I mean, it's certainly not the same. So I really, really appreciated how it felt like I was just playing a version of the cartoon because of how the turtles were drawn, the Foot Clan was drawn, the backgrounds were drawn, the sound effects, the martial arts. Even though I wish it was a little bit more varied. But yeah, I that was my classic maker. Kitos,
Thank you, my turtle.
Oh my gosh, Kitos, what did you love the most?
Honestly, my classic maker is that's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I mean, how can you go wrong with that? It's
the IP.
Even if the game's bad, like it's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I love this, like whatever it is, universe, whatever you call it. Right? This thing. Just I love the characters. I love the campiness or whatever it would be. Just
Would you say that it stays true to at least this version that's based on the cartoon, not the comics, and not, it's based on the original cartoon. So would you say that one of the reasons that you like it is that it stays true to its source?
Absolutely. I love the cartoon. So it felt like I was going right back into what I remember of the cartoon.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
Very awesome. Well,
so my classic maker is it's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Well, so is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 Turtles in Time, the movie from the 90s. But would you call that a classic just because it's turtles?
No, but that might be his classic maker for that movie. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh my word. Okay. So I'm curious. Kitos really enjoyed that it was TMNT, Paul, a game based on that universe. Was that enough to make for your classic maker, or was there something else that really resonated with you about this game?
What resonated most for me about this game was the sound effects. Like you mentioned before that it didn't really resemble they didn't use the voice actors from the cartoons, which would have been amazing.
Yes.
But going back to 1989, there were few arcade games that had voice sound effects.
That's a good point. Yes.
And half of those games, they were so muffled, you couldn't really understand what they were saying.
Mm-hmm.
But this, not only did it sound, you could actually hear and understand when Shredder says,
"Tonight I dine on turtle soup."
Tonight I dine on turtle soup. Or it's amazing, the technology back then. You had to be there back then. But even like in this clip where Bebop, you can understand and hear him snort.
Watch your mouth, slime ball.
Right in the middle. I mean, you can tell the difference.
Yes.
And this game opens up with the song from the cartoon.
Yes, that was great.
No, not that song.
Wow.
But a lot of one of the great things about this, the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game, is that it opens up from the theme song of the original cartoon, and a lot of remakes of the games will have this song, but it's redone and resung.
Yeah,
this was ported in from the original soundtrack, so it's like the real song.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like the games today where they'll play the song and then all of a sudden it's different voices and it feels jarring, and you're like, wait, is this the Kids Bop version? What's going on here? So the sound effects, the music are my classic maker for this game.
Very cool. I mean, I like sort of the modern takes, like the Shredder's Revenge take or the 2012 version.
I'm so used to the other one. That's like, oh, that's the real version.
All right, you NES Turtles 2 arcade hater. All right, you're so used to this one that you can't get...
You know what? When you grow up on caviar and filet mignon, it's hard to appreciate the hamburger, okay?
Wow. All right. That's a fair assessment, I suppose. Let them eat cake. Gotcha. Okay. So now that we've entered all our classic makers, there's a lot to like about this game, but there's probably even more we don't like. Well, maybe not even more, but some stuff we don't like. So let's get the things we didn't. Oh, hold on, guys. There's one more thing I liked that I really wanted to get out that I totally forgot to share. And that's, of course, the Rushmore Show. The Rushmore Show is the place for ranking the ultimate top 4 in sports, video games, nostalgia, movies, and so much more. Each week, Andy and Kirk spark engaging discussions and friendly debates, making the Rushmore Show your compass in the realm of pop culture rankings. Find them at youtube.com/The Rushmore Show, where it's all about your top 4 and nothing more.
All right, so let's see. Leonardo, Raphael, Michelangelo, Splinter, Vern. No, Andy or Kirk. What does the Rushmore Show have to do with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the arcade game?
There's 4 in the Rushmore, and there's 4 turtles, Paul. It's so clear.
Oh, wow. So there's 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. That reminds me of that's one of the things I like best about the arcade game.
They should do a Rushmore of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. Yes, exactly. Yeah. All right, Paul, it doesn't have that much to do, if anything, to do with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You happy? You happy you got me there?
I don't know. It depends on what's coming next.
How about some trivia? That's coming next.
All right, yeah, that sounds better.
All right. Did you all realize that the TMNT arcade game has some references to the original comics that got translated to the live-action movies, but not the cartoon that Paul is so fond of? For example, the first scene is a fire at April's apartment. This happens in the first live-action movie, but never in the 1987 cartoon. Also, on the parking lot level, a TGRI logo can be seen on one of the vans, while again, there's no TGRI in the 87 animated show.
What?
And I did go and check this. I watched someone do a Let's Play and went to the part where I thought that would be. And yep, in fact, TGRI is on one of the vans.
Wow.
So my question to you all is, what is your favorite scene from any Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle property? It could be a comic, movie, game. What's your favorite sort of set piece or scene?
Oh, you're laughing already. Okay, what is it?
Easy.
Okay, go ahead.
That's the Vanilla Ice rap.
Oh, that's a good one.
Gosh.
Go Ninja,
That's a good
go
one.
Ninja, go.
Wow. Okay.
How can you beat that?
Yo,
I could
it's the
beat
Green
it.
Machine gonna rock the town without. Yeah, I know.
Oh, my word. All right.
That is a hard one to beat because the first thing that came to my mind was the from the first movie is the Michelangelo / foot soldier chuck off.
Yeah. A fellow chucker, eh?
Yeah, I mean, it's not an amazing scene. I think there's a lot of better fighting scenes, but just the idea, it's a fun little, I don't know what you call it, but I wish there was more stuff like that.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
For me,
how about you, Francisco?
For me, it's going to be that where that scene takes place, but more expanded, like the whole from Raphael being thrown down through the skylight and that whole like leading up to the fire of the apartment. I like that, that whole like boom, 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 just
and then Casey showing up.
Casey Jones showing up. That was so cool. Oh, I loved it. Yes. So I love that whole element from the first movie for sure.
See, Turtles, you got to do better. The first 2 movies have come and gone a while ago. But great trivia, Francisco.
Thank you, Paul.
And now that we've all had some trivial fun, let's find out what memories you, our awesome rewinders, had about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the arcade game.
Jeremy Shields says, I remember when we first saw it at a bowling alley, me and my friends' minds were blown. And then we tried the NES version, and I was disappointed in the lack of 4 players. They had a device for that, which I owned, and the lame graphics. But it was still fun to play.
See, I was about to say, I told you so, but then it's still fun to play. So both sides win. Drake Tungsten says TMNT, the arcade game, was a game in the arcades. And it was made by Konami. And April was on the side. Yes, she was on the side of the cabinet.
Though I was showing, it's funny, I was showing when I was prepping the artwork for the our reflex capacitors to vote on this game, you try to take an art piece from whatever it is, movie or game, and I chose one of those art parts that are on the arcade cabinet. And my wife is like, "Who is that?" I'm like, "That's April." And she's like, "That's not April. I mean, I guess it's April, but it's not April." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know. It's not."
But that was April. That was the first live action April before the movie came out.
Oh, I guess that would be true, huh? That's weird. All right. So the OG.
So yeah, she's the original April.
All right. Well,
but what's weird for all of you people who really want to get into the details, the model they used that's on the side cabinet is different than the April that they have on the instruction manual for the arcade.
Oh,
so I don't know which of those two Aprils is the original OG April.
Wow. And then I'll add this from chat. Book of Gaming says, it was always understood that the arcade games were better. I never compared NES games to arcade, so the fact that we got a Ninja Turtles game for the NES that resembled the arcade experience was so much fun. I mean, that's fair.
I'll give you that.
Yes. But thank you all for sharing your memories. And as much as there seems to be some fondness, or at least vague memory of this game, maybe there's some things that were vehemently scarred on us because we didn't like them so much. So let's get into the things we didn't like about TMNT, the arcade game.
Worst woes.
Hang on, guys.
Worst woes. Talk about worst transitions into this from me. Anyway, let's go to Kitos. What's one thing you didn't like about? I didn't kick off anything. I didn't say kick off.
But you should have.
Kitos.
Yeah, definitely. One of the things I disliked about this game, sadly, was there was really not that much variety in the enemies.
Oh,
it's just the Foot Clan for the most part. I mean, I know they have some weapons here and there, but I mean, I can kind of count on my hand the different amount of enemies to fight.
That's kind of true. But hey, you had the orange Foot Clan, and then you had the purple Foot Clan.
Oh, and don't forget the white Foot Clan.
Yeah.
Oh, and then the yellow Foot Clan. Oh my gosh.
One of the enemies that I liked though was the Mousers from the cartoon. That was fun.
Yeah.
Seeing them in there.
But you know what? I'll go right off that, Kitos, and say one of the things that I didn't like was that every turtle was essentially the same. Just reskinned. Raphael had a slightly different special, quote unquote.
Then it's just like the comics.
Well, I don't know. I feel like there'd be something that you could give some flavor. And if there is this in the backward math, I couldn't tell, but maybe Raphael does more damage. Donatello takes less life. Leonardo does
this isn't Super Mario Brothers 2 where each of the four characters have special abilities.
Okay, well, I'm just saying that would have been really cool if they did something to make it like, ooh, do I pick this turtle or this turtle?
I'm impressed they got one button to jump, another button to attack, and together they got a jump attack.
Really? That impressed you?
I mean, for back in the day, you know what I mean? But yeah, I could see that. That would have been fun.
Yeah. Anyway, so that was something I didn't like.
Well, honestly, they had 2 years to program this. Maybe I'm more on your side than I'd like to admit.
That's fair. Well, what also sort of detracts for you and puts you on my side, Paul?
I said I played this game a lot in the arcade, but one of the things I dislike about this is the replayability because it's not. It's hard to describe. It's not there as much as I'd like it to be. Like in the arcade, I think they had the settings way up because I never beat it in the arcade, like I said. But the play at home version, I could beat it within 30 lives, and that's like $2.50 in quarters. So it's and I know I've spent more
because you get 3 lives per quarter, right?
Yeah, 3 lives per quarter, and I think that's about 30. Yeah. Anyway, so and I only got half as far. So I think with it either being too difficult to like get very far in the arcade itself with the settings so high, or at home with the setting lower where you can get farther. There aren't enough levels to keep it interesting.
Yeah. Okay.
So between the two, I think it causes the replayability not to be as high as I think it could be.
That makes sense. I could see that.
Actually, is one of my dislikes too.
Oh, the replayability.
Yeah, I mean, once you finish it, right?
Yeah.
There's not much reason to really go back and play.
Well, there's like nightmare mode, which has a lot more enemies on screen at the same time. But yeah, there's not like new or interesting content or a new way to play the game necessarily.
Yeah. I think back then you didn't have like, oh, you can discover hidden things. That was very rare in arcade games.
Yes, exactly. Because they didn't think people were going to be spending that much time on them. I would think.
Hey kid, put in your quarter and go.
Exactly. All right. Well, let's go back to Keithos. What's something else? Oh, you said the replayability was the thing you didn't like as well.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah, that was Paul's, and yeah, that was just also one of mine too.
Okay. Gotcha. Paul, let's then go right back to you. What's something else you didn't like?
I found the controls in this aren't as precise as, say, like a Mario or Mega Man side scroll. This is a side scroller.
The controls, or is that Keithos?
That was me.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
He said they're easy to understand, and I agree with him. They are. They are simple, but to be able to control the character, like after jumping or moving up, it doesn't feel as robust and precise as, like I was saying, a Mario or Mega Man side-scrolling game that you have more control over.
Yeah, I get that.
Makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense for sure. I didn't find that to be the case for me, but I could see why. I could understand that for sure.
Yeah.
For me, something else I didn't like, and then we'll get to our tragic makers, is that the human characters seemed so washed out, whether it was April or Shredder or the girl.
You mean as colors or as like two-dimensional characters? Like there's no story there?
As sprites on the screen, they seemed very desaturated or very low contrast. And I don't understand why when they get such crispness. Crispness with the turtles, the Foot Clan, Krang, even most of the bosses. So I don't know why the human characters were so like washed out. Like I said, it's very strange to me. So I didn't like that about it.
Well, the Book of Gaming says the April sprite in the NES version is much better than the arcade version.
Well, great.
I'll believe that because there wasn't much there to go on. For the arcade.
All right. Then now let's get to our tragic makers, guys. The things we hated most about this game. And
the turtles.
What?
Crush the turtles.
Oh my gosh. Yes, let's get shell shocked with our tragic makers. And I'm gonna start because this is similar, I think, to something you said, Keithos. I wanted more of the classic Turtles elements in this game. I wanted
like a sword or a bow staff or side. What do you mean? What kind of elements?
I'm about to explain it, Paul, if you give me a chance.
Okay.
Like bosses like the Rat King, or maybe a transformation of Baxter
Rat King
Toxpin.
hadn't come out by the time they were developing this.
Okay.
Only a few, like the first 2 seasons, which isn't very many. Like the first season only had like 5 episodes.
Okay.
So.
All right. And I assume you're going to give me the same.
Oh, you're talking about, but you want a more variety of villains and such. Okay.
Yes, exactly.
That I'll give you. Yeah.
Was
like Keithos was saying, the many a foot soldier, just different colors.
Yeah. Which I get, those were the main villains in the cartoon, but I feel like you could have done a little bit more. Was the turtle blimp early too delayed? So I would have loved something with the turtle blimp. I would have also, the turtle van is obviously in this game. I would have loved something where you're actually in the turtle van doing something with the turtle van, not just on the skateboard. I think that would have been really cool. So
the skateboards weren't in the cartoon by then.
Yeah, so there you go. And plus, so they were taking things from the comics. So I'm sure there are other enemies in the comics they could have used. So
Or how about like predicting movies where?
Yeah, exactly. You see, they could have done it. Anyway, so that was the thing. That was my Tragic Makers. There weren't more of the elements that I remember liking from the cartoon in this. Whether or not they were existed in the cartoon yet, I don't know. But I would have liked more of that. Let's go to Kitos. What is your Tragic Maker?
So my Tragic Maker is a little bit more personal.
Okay.
So, I'm not a fan of this beat 'em up perspective fighting game.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you don't like the side scrolling
beat 'em up?
Yeah, I never really enjoyed it because I always would like hit a guy, but oh wait, I'm not correctly up in the right position.
Yeah, I get that.
And it's just, I don't know. I always felt it always take me out of the game every time it happens.
Yeah.
So
but don't you like Knights of the Round, Kitos?
I like the world of Knights of the Round and whatnot, but the actual
like round
beat 'em up,
knights.
but the actual like beat 'em up, it's not really my thing.
No, that is a good point. I don't like how it's hard to know exactly if you're in the right spot to connect. So I wish there was more not play, but more what's the word? I don't know. Just more
feedback. Basically,
more feedback,
some kind of feedback,
or more feedback, or just more generosity in the hitbox of like, okay, you're obviously not on the exact same plane as this character, but we could tell you're close enough that you would hit him. So okay, you can get. I mean, heavens knows, I am like, I breathe on one of the laser bars and I get electrocuted. So it's okay.
Well, I'm going to have to disagree 100% with Keith, though, by saying that this is my favorite type of gaming. Not as side-scrolling, but it's the up and down and diagonal. For some reason, I just love it.
Okay, cool.
But I'm also going to 100% agree with him and you, Francisco, that this is also my Tragic Maker. I wrote,
really?
It's difficult to find the hit boxes.
Yes.
Especially when moving up and down, and especially on flying characters or machines.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
It's like sometimes sometimes the helicopter will blink if you like jump kick it, but sometimes it won't. But for some reason, whatever it is, either the guys or the machines will hit me a lot more than I'm hitting it. It feels like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the Book of Gaming says in the chat, it says that the game also lacks hit sparks, so it's hard to tell if you're doing much damage or not. So I think 100% we all agree that this is a problem here.
Exactly. But okay, now that we've all entered our target information into the firing computer, Travis, do you have a firing solution for us?
Firing solution complete. Salvo authority accepted. Ratings prepared to launch.
Yes, let's get some energy from some pizza and how we rate this.
Time.
Yes, exactly. Pizza time. Do we rate the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game 1989 actual arcade edition a classic? Would recommend anyone go play this, whether or not you've played it before. A nostalgic, it's worth your time to play it or to seek it out if you remember it fondly. But if you've never played it before, don't take the time or spend the money to get it. Or is it a tragic? Don't get this game. Don't play this game, especially if you've never seen it before and if you played it before. And if you have played it before, don't sully any good memories you have of it with a replay. So
don't even think about it, cowboy.
Yeah, exactly. So, Kitos, let's start with you. What was your final rating for this game? You predicted classic. Where did it end up?
Yeah, it's actually tragic.
Whoa! Oh my goodness. Okay. Tragic, crazy. What sort of led you to that?
Well, the issue is I couldn't in my even someone who's played it before, right? It's been all those quarters all those years ago, right? I don't even think it's really worth your 30 minutes of game time to then go and play it now. Like,
wow.
Keep in your memories at most, but there's so many other games to play nowadays. Even in this like beat 'em up genre that are better. So unfortunately, I don't think it holds up. It's cool. It's cool, and it's a great part of history for gaming, right? But I mean, yeah, there's a lot more to play nowadays.
Very fair. All right, Paul.
Tonight I dine on turtle soup.
Apparently you do, Paul.
They did.
Does it hold up for you? What's your final rating?
As great as it was when it came out, there are a lot better games that I would spend my time on. So for nostalgic reasons, I'm going to keep it at nostalgic. I don't hate the game. It's fun for a revisit every 5 to 10 years, but I agree, Keito, it's not 30 minutes of your time. But if you ever played Shredder's Revenge, that's the one to play.
Yes.
Instead of this one.
All right. For me, guys, I'm very saddened that you guys were pretty much just right where I was. No, I'm not saddened by that at all. I'm rating it nostalgic as well. It was fun. It's certainly fun to revisit. I especially getting to play with other people. If I had to play it on my own, I don't think it would have been as fun, but I don't think it's really designed to play on your own necessarily. It's more, I mean, having it be 4 players, it's sort of, that's the optimum experience.
It's more fun that
game.
way. You certainly could play it on your own.
Yeah, you could. But I feel like that wouldn't be the best way to do it.
Life is just sad. Or it's just a reminder that life is sad.
Wow. So, but we neglected to include our reflux capacitors, which thank you so much for supporting this show. And according, when I add up their scores together, they rated this game a classic. So
what?
Yeah, so we have a classic and a tragic and 2 nostalgic. So I think we can soundly say that according to the Retro Rewind podcast, we rate the TMNT arcade game a disputed nostalgic game. It's worth your time
my turtles.
Replay if you enjoyed it in your past, but if you've never have played it or only played it a little bit, probably not worth a replay. So now it's time to stay in 1989 and see what we're all up to. Travis?
Return to 20XX overridden. Comsats broadcasting while awaiting return coordinates.
Feels good to still be in 1989. Going nowhere. 3 minutes of playtime thanks to these reflux capacitors, namely Deborah Powers, Geek Devotions, Drew of the Cellcast, Ashley Ruiz, Kenneth Thin, Fabulous Lomax, Rosie Lomax, That's Our Babo, D. Tungsten, Dale, Mr. Lost, Daryl Hafner, Cool Deluxe. Oh, you're right here. Woohoo! Dustin Warford, in addition to 2 other awesome patrons as well. Thank you all so much for keeping the gigawatts coming. And if you want to help us keep flying and get bonus content for your generosity, head over to retrorewindpodcast.com/support to start.
Yo, dude, this stream is sponsored by PaulJPowers.com. Cowabunga!
Hey, Francisco, is there any ways to support the show that doesn't take a hit on the wallet?
Let me check. Maybe you can sell some turtle wax. No, that one makes sense. Oh, how about this? You probably enjoyed this episode if you've made it this far. So if you aren't driving, tap the share icon in your podcast player for this episode and send it to a friend saying, I know you like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, so I thought you might like this podcast where they talk about their arcade game about it.
Cool. And I'll bet they'll thank you for it. And speaking of thanking people, we want to give a big turtle hug to Keithos for supporting us with his thoughts about this Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game. Or should I call you Cool Deluxe? Because, all right, Cool Deluxe. Where can people find you online? Is there anything cool you got going on that they should know about?
Let's see. Not yet, but they can find me online at Cool Deluxe, QOOLDELUXX.
It sounds like you're struggling a little bit. What, are you playing a game right now or something?
I hear this
might be.
Tap. Could it be a game you just rated tragic, could it?
Wow.
Yeah, no. So you can find me on Twitter at Cool Deluxe, QOOLDELUXX. And yeah, you can message me about games or anything you'd like. I'm also into a bunch of technology and AI too. So
very, very
just
cool.
want to have a chat about that stuff. Yeah. Contact me.
Yeah, if you're watching the live version of this, the little icon Cool Deluxe has of that cool turtle, he actually made the AI that generated that icon. So do I have that right, Cool Deluxe? Or
yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
That? Yeah. So thank you again, Kitos, and my awesome trolltastic friend Paul, and all you rewinders, new and old, for another fun voyage.
You're welcome. And you can find me, pauljpowers.com, at pauljpowers.com.
Indeed. And you can find me on our Discord for show announcements or just to say hi. Join us at retrorewindpodcast.com/Discord. And also, if you want to be in the know about the tabletop card game I am designing called Junkyard Juggernauts, go to junkyardjuggernauts.com and sign up for the email list there.
This podcast is a proud member of Culture Box, a curated collection of podcasts, videos, and articles that will provide you a balanced meal of content. You will find culture celebrated for its past and future, satirized for its extremes, explored in study, and created anew in story. Point your web browser to culturebox.media.
Thank you, Shredder. And as Shredder just said, we are now part of Culture Box Media Network. Find all the shows unpacking truth through story, comedy, and geekery at Culture Box Media.
Thank you, Exo, and thank you all for listening. We pray you are more joyful today than when you first hit play. But like a Pokemon, we gotta catch you all for the next episode of the Retro Rewind podcast.
Rewinders of the Lost Pod mission complete. Review audio ship's logs for more details.
And when you go to bed tonight, remember...
Say your prayers, Toidles. Who put the lights out?